Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you again for listening. I love having these conversations, and I love knowing that I'm sharing them with you, and it just means so much that your yes is allowing a big giant yes for me too. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Today's guest is someone that I was introduced to through her book launch team. And it's just so fun when you get a random introduction to someone that you realize very, very quickly that you're practically the same person and you were destined to meet, even though geography would not give you any clue that that was ever going to happen. So Dena Jansen is just cool. And we had such a great conversation, and I'm so excited for you to be a part of it. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her amazingness. Dena Jansen is a renowned author, speaker, and coach who transitioned from a successful corporate career to entrepreneurship. Drawing inspiration from over 2 decades as a farmer's wife, she intertwines agricultural wisdom with personal growth. With a robust academic background from Texas Tech University, she's also the dynamic force behind the You Just Don't Know It Yet podcast and RON 2.0 Women's Conference. And RON stands for Ready or Not. A rom-com aficionado, Dena champions ambitious small-town women, guiding them toward realizing their dreams. And you can learn more about her at denajansen.com. And you are definitely going to want to get your hands on her book, which is amazing. It is called Soul Farmer. And she does such a beautiful job of explaining the different areas of this book, from planting to growing to harvest and even the fallow season. And it's just such a beautiful conversation. I cannot wait. She is sending me a signed copy of her book, so I'm excited to read that cover to cover. And I really encourage you to get your copy too. I will have to tell you, she has such a fascinating portion in section 1 that talks about 5 U-turns, which are YOU turns, that we can use to gain clarity in our pursuit of happiness. It's just so good. I'm not going to keep you from it any longer. So please sit back and relax and enjoy my conversation with Dena Jansen. Dena Jansen, I could not be more thrilled to have you sitting in front of me virtually right now. And although we just met, I feel like we've been friends forever, yet we have much to catch each other up on.
Yes, soul sisters, right? An instant alignment for sure. So a fantastic way to spend my day as well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it's such a gift. And it's fascinating to me as well, before we get into this. I have recently found myself, now let me think, it probably was, I do remember, it was the interview that I did, listeners, friends, with Diane Wingert. And she asked me after we recorded, we were on the phone for another 45 minutes, which is typically what
Right.
happens. And she asked me, because she had recently moved to a new area, and she just asked me, how am I building community, and how,
Mhm.
how can she have more conversations like the one she and I just had? And
Right.
I told her, I have conversations like this every single day. These are the
Yes.
only conversations I'm actually available for.
Right.
And I thought, oh, that's interesting that I said
Yeah.
that. And then I have actually uttered that sentence 100 times in the
Right.
past month and a half,
Right.
because every person I talk to is saying, this is so good. I'm so glad we connected. And I'm really becoming aware and so appreciative that these
Yes.
are actually the only conversations I'm available for.
Right.
And they are occurring every day just
Yes.
because I made myself available for them and allow that in.
Yeah, I would say even attracting them, right? Like I always tell my
Totally.
husband and my kids, like, you will find what you go looking for.
Mhm.
So if you know what you're looking for, you'll find it, right? So if
It's
you're
true.
looking for these conversations that set you on fire and just yeah, just recharge your soul, like then you'll find them, right? And through some of it your own looking for them and then, the universe and however else those stars just aligning how they need to. So
Right.
again, yeah, I am pumped to be here. So
Yay. Yay. I'm so happy that this conversation found us. It's
absolutely.
really beautiful. So
Yeah.
I will kick us off with how I start all of these conversations, and that is in asking you, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
Yes. And I love it. I've been listening to others and I try not to prepare because I would say that how I'm saying yes to myself in this season is I am truly trusting my own gut. I'm
Mm,
trusting that I can be and am my own best guide toward what I say I want. And so there's been multiple times lately, and this has been a labor of love to get to that point. If I look back even 8 years ago, that would not have been my answer, and it would not have been my experience. But now, the fact that I can trust my gut and know that I can figure things out, and that I can keep myself safe through the change that I actually go seeking, right? Because I want to keep continuing a life that I'm excited about and proud of. But I trust my gut. And I would say the second way, and because they kind of go together, is that I feel like when you do have that really solid level of trust, internal trust, then I am able to be my own best advocate.
mm,
And I would say, and we haven't shared yet, but I am in a season of self-promotion, right? Like I am an
right.
author and I have my Soul Farmer, my second book came out, and I am in a season of getting this book out into the world. And so it's an interesting experience to go through, but to realize it's not about promoting to sell a product. It's about advocating for the message that I know that I intended to share, and trusting that no one, this book doesn't have legs without me. I am the legs. and then
Right.
and then thankfully other readers are the legs, and a book launch team and things. But so I would say that's how I'm saying yes, is really honoring and trusting my gut to keep me safe, and then in doing so being my own best advocate and not shying away from sharing what I've created.
I love that so much. It's
Good.
beautiful. And it's a perfect way to start our conversation, because I think so many people question how they
Yes.
feel, talk themselves out of how they feel or what they
Right.
need, completely self abandon, with the idea that they're actually being in service to their family, to their boss, to the people
Yes.
around them, that that's being a good girl, or that's
Yes.
being noble or
Yeah.
humble, and anything else is selfish. And right? Like, it's just like,
Absolutely.
oh my gosh, the conditioning.
It is, and I will say even after when you said, I love that you said that, I'm like, okay, good, because there's still a part of me that's like, ooh, does that sound snotty? Does
Mm.
it sound just like you're so self-absorbed? But it's not, and it is an internal conditioning, societal conditioning that I do think that we're working out of,
Yeah.
right? As we support ourselves and love ourselves enough, and I've mentioned to you that that is one of the chapters of Soul Farmer. And Soul Farmer, the subtitle is Sowing Seeds of Change to Reap an Inspired Life.
Mm.
Because, like I shared, my husband is a real life farmer. He's preparing to plant his corn for the season, and but I kill plants. I have no green in my thumbs, but I do grow people. I am
Mm.
passionate about helping other people grow toward the life of their dreams, and one of the things that is, so I break the book into 3 sections, into plant, grow, harvest,
Mm.
because when you also start seeing it all as a cycle, cycles never end. They just repeat and repeat. Now, negative pattern stuff, we want to break those cycles, but the cycle of growth and the cycle of progress, let's do that, right? Let's keep that cycle going. But in the plant section, I have a whole chapter on how do you choose to prioritize yourself
Mhm.
with what I call U-turns, Y-O-U, U-turns, right? Like turning
Love
back into
it.
yourself, because women struggle. The thought of prioritizing themselves does not come naturally.
No.
And we are so much more inclined to work our way into more of a martyrdom
Mhm.
than we are to realize that that choice to prioritize ourselves is the best choice you can do for the ones that you love. So I stray, but that is that chapter, and that concept of prioritizing yourself is so powerful. Um,
Agreed.
and
Agreed.
does take some reimagining, though. Like for a lot of women, it's not a comfortable space, and that's why I like it in the plant section, because we're planting these new seeds, right? We're planting new mindsets, so that then we can work into into growth and harvesting all the great things that come. But
I'm so happy and I want to talk about each of the sections of the book, but to stop at the planting for a minute and just reiterate so much of what the my goal in having this podcast is to
yeah,
normalize saying yes to ourselves and to
yes,
normalize the really uncomfortable, because it's unfamiliar,
hmm,
practice of just doing something like buying yourself flowers or
yeah,
coming to do a farm stay here or going on a trip to
yeah,
France. Like, it can be big, they can be small, they can
yes,
be plentiful, they should be plentiful,
sure,
and really coming to this understanding that everybody wins
right,
when we do this. I've said it many times on the podcast, and I wish I could remember the person that I heard it from,
yeah.
but and it was a guy, which guys do say lovely things that
Dudes
I
are cool
listen
too.
to.
I do,
They're
yes.
great. We love
They've got their place
we love
in
boys.
life.
Yes, yes, we do. But he was saying, like, we all know you can't give from an empty cup. And
Sure.
so his metaphor was, you give from the saucer, you give from the
Oh, mm-hmm.
overflow, right? So you fill yourself up. What overflows is what you give from. When
Yeah,
your saucer is empty, is
right.
when you go back to filling yourself up, instead of
Mm,
when your cup is empty, which I think is
sure.
just, I mean, it's certainly been my practice, and I know I'm not the
Yes.
only person. And just the conditioning of our society and what was modeled for us from
Yeah,
our moms and from their
sure.
moms and their moms, that
Yeah,
there is no self-care.
right.
And it's so much more than, getting a pedicure or
Yes, yes.
taking a nap.
Yeah.
It's these practices that are really filling us up with these feelings
Yes.
of joy and
Yes.
growth and strength that help us get through the times that are
Yeah.
not in the pedicure chair or in the
Yeah,
bubble bath.
absolutely. Yeah, and so many times, Wendy, it's not about, and self-care has its own very interesting world, and a lot of people do think it's only going and spending or investing money in yourself to do, which it can be,
Mhm.
but it's so much more to me about embracing the very, it's just the dynamic and living as a human, that there's a me and a we to
Mhm.
everything we do.
Mm.
I am in a relationship with myself, correct? Right? Like I am also in relationship with you. And I can't, it's so interesting because I have to trust that I am my own best guide. But one of the U-turns, even, and there's five, but one of them is ask for help. Like
Right.
it doesn't, that is the U-turn is, I know the best thing right now is to ask for help.
Mhm.
Or it could, one of the others is to share your stuff, like share your reality, process what's happening. It means saying, I internally can't sit and mull over this. I need to process this with a trusted advisor
Right.
or a mentor, whatever it might be. So it's realizing that prioritizing yourself doesn't mean you're isolating yourself. It
Exactly.
means you are trusting, what do I think I need, turning into myself and asking, and you'll get better at it. You'll get better
Mhm.
at hearing your own response and saying, yeah, you need to get out and get some help. Or the very first U-turn is to just trust that you matter. And that's not something you can just flip on like a light switch. That is a practice of
Yes.
trusting that my experience, my life matters. So it's it's if women could embrace that. I'm not saying ignore anyone else. I'm just
Exactly.
saying turn into yourself first as your own best guide. Trust that you can keep yourself safe. And then you can ask yourself, what do I need? And you'll
Right.
start being able to answer for yourself. Because so many
Right.
times we're like, I don't know, what do I need? Who can tell me what I need? No one can tell you.
Right.
So it's, to me, that's, it is fascinating, and it is an exercise. It is a practice. And
Mhm.
I do love it. And I think, to me though, as a mom of two, I've got an 18-year-old son who's just about to leave me, right? He'll graduate and head off to college. But I've got a 16-year-old daughter who's still here. And of course I want to model my behavior for both of them, but predominantly for my daughter is just, you don't need to look around for
Right.
validation for what your next steps. You can figure this out. And I can only hope that we do that for the next generation. And they're just ridiculously fantastic to begin with, this next generation, honestly,
Yes.
without our help. They're
Right.
doing a lot on their own. But as a mother, I don't see anything I do as taking away from my ability to care for her. It is, I am modeling for her what it looks like to say, I want this thing
Mhm.
and I'm going to go do it.
Yep.
And along the way, she's seen me ask for help. She's helping me at this point. She's doing like hype reels and videos for me. Like, it's so great to have her come in the business. Like, so it's, yeah, I digress. But the
No, you
U-turns
don't
are
digress.
so powerful, just because it breaks my heart when I'm talking to women and they just are keeping to, they're still like, I just don't know about this put myself first bit, Dena. And I'm like, I tried using different words, like, let's
Sure.
prioritize ourselves rather than choose yourself over someone, because you you can have both. Like, I
Absolutely.
I can't care for her if I'm not caring for myself. And so, yeah, the U-turns are really exciting for me. And I think that's why they needed to be in that plant section, because before you dive into growth, which is a whole, and I've kind of, in the book, I share what I see as a very repeatable cycle of growth. You need those, like, you need some, tools in the toolkit. You need those seeds planted really firmly of, I can figure this out and I am my own best guide. So I'm going to U-turn frequently
Yes.
and make my way through, what's ahead of me. So
How did you transition from the understanding that all the answers are inside of you, which I
sure.
totally believe that, and then asking for help? Because what my experience has been, and I mentioned this to you before we hit record, and my listeners know, this whole personal development journey, which I am thrilled to be in, is
Uh-huh.
relatively new to me. And
Sure.
so as you know, what I don't know what I don't know, and I'm learning and growing every day because that's what I desire to do.
Sure.
And I found though that, you know, a part of this growth resulted in a divorce. And
Sure.
so I'm a single mom, solopreneur,
Yes.
running a small flower farm in New England where there's
Yes.
weather.
Sure.
And I'm doing these things myself. I do have a fabulous woman who helps me with my social media and a
Sure.
fabulous woman who edits this podcast. Thank you, Team Phineas Wrighthouse. I love you so much. And someone who plows the driveway. But that's it. And
Right.
I found myself in this quandary because
Yes.
I need help.
Right.
I desire help.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I found myself feeling like, well, you're the one who said you wanted this. You're
Sure.
the
You
one
you
who said,
decided.
yep,
Uh-huh.
you're going to do this yourself, or you're not going to
Yeah.
do this with him, or you're going to release whatever we want to call
Right.
whatever that was.
Yeah.
But almost felt like, well, I'm the one that wanted it. I'm the one that
Yeah.
wanted to live here. So that means I'm the one that has to do
Yeah.
everything. And
Buckle up, Buttercup. You asked for it.
yeah, right, exactly. And of course, that argument makes so much sense inside. And as
Sure.
soon as I utter the words out of my mouth, I can hear how ridiculous that is.
Sure.
And nobody is going to think, oh, well, you know, Wendy makes it look like she does it all by herself. Like, I don't want to
Right.
make that look, that's not a
That's
aesthetic
not the
I'm
goal.
going
Right.
for, and that's not a prize. Doing
Right.
everything yourself does not make you the winner. It makes you
No.
dumb.
Yeah. Well, and you're missing out on the opportunity to create something with other people. Like
Right.
there is not much better than you can create all day, but if you're in a silo and like who are you going to celebrate with? Right? Like
Totally.
who and what I've always said, and I'll try to get back to your question. I think your question was how did I kind of transition into that asking for help? And I would say that there's a couple of things also in that plant section in the very beginning as I'm really trying to plant some ideas that of how we can change our mindset. I do one of the very first chapters is can you choose to be a seeker and have more of a seeker's mindset?
Mm.
And the seeker the way and I would say that is where I started my journey. I didn't wake up one day, because my backstory, Wendy, too.
Yes.
A good, gosh, almost 10 years ago, I was not who I am today. I was a partner at a CPA firm in Austin. I was a corporate ladder climber who had I'd gotten to the top. I was at a great firm, but I wasn't happy in the work that I was doing, even though I was making great money and had great benefits. I was married to my high school sweetheart, who again is the farmer, but our marriage was not well. We were not well, and I say that we if you want to call it, we were in a serious drought. That there were cracks, they were getting
Mm.
worse. And but in that moment you have your own I had my own kind of rock bottom moment where I just kept looking for relief from that loneliness, from that
Mhm.
despair. And when you kind of hit a rock bottom, you just decide, well, what am I going to do about this?
Right.
And I just knew I had to change something. So I didn't wake up that day and go, "Oh, there's 5 U-turns I'm going to follow." I mean,
Right.
come on. Yeah. I woke up and I did say, "Okay, um, I am going to embrace 3 things."
Mm.
And those are what I call kind of the seeker mindset. And and again, I didn't just wake up and write it down, but this is what looking back, there were 3 things. There was humble curiosity,
Mm.
meaning I have to have a sense of humility. I don't know all there is to know. So how can I even know that I'm going to fail? Like when I think of my fear, how can I know that nothing's going to go right? Like but I also knew I had to have a sense of humility with curiosity because there was so much I didn't know. I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know how to leave corporate. I didn't know how to rebuild a marriage, which I'm very proud to say we do believe we're on our second marriage. Everyone
Oh,
says
I
they have
love that.
my therapist says everyone has multiple marriages. Some people just marry the same people, some people marry other people. So we are on our second and we are healthy and happy and have new pattern. We're not happy all the time, let's be real, but we
Right.
have different patterns, right? We have different, because we embraced like humble curiosity. We were okay to look at each other and go, we don't know how to fix this right now. And we might need help or whatever the case might be. But the other two things is humble curiosity, everyday bravery, meaning that luckily
Mm,
we aren't having, that's not life or death situations. It can feel like that because fear is very powerful. But knowing that every day I'm just going to show up and do something that feels brave to me in that moment. So it could be giving someone a phone call when it feels scary, or it could be giving my book to a stranger, or it could be hopping on a podcast with a woman I've never met, right? It's that is an everyday brave moment because you are at least stepping out of your comfort zone. And then the last is just a disciplined consistency of
mm,
this is now a way of living. It is how I'm going to live my life, to show up every day with a sense of discipline and a sense of consistency that I want to seek the change that I say I want in my life.
mm.
And I think when you look at any of those things, those require help.
Right.
I just simply couldn't do it. And I was sitting with my therapist just yesterday, honestly, and she came to my book launch party and it was just a huge, beautiful, full circle moment. She's like, I'm proud of you. And not because of just what you've accomplished today, but because I saw you 8 years ago on my couch. And that's not where we were. And you knew what you wanted and you knew you had to put in work, but I couldn't do that without help.
Right.
So I have to trust myself to know that I am the only one showing up for my life. So that is a me, but I can't do what I really want without right? Without other people.
Exactly. I
So
love
it's
that.
just
Thank you.
embracing that.
Mhm. Right.
And
And it's hard, I almost said it's hard. It's not, everything is as hard as we make it. So I try
sure,
not to use that word.
I get it. I do the same
It
thing.
is unfamiliar. It's
Yes.
unfamiliar to ask for help. So I found
Yes.
that I was getting better at asking for
Yes.
help and then simultaneously not receiving it when it is offered. Like what these
Sure.
habits. So what I was finding is like, oh, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
My mindset has outgrown my habits.
Sure.
So I'm journaling.
Yeah.
I I desire support. I need help and I want
Yes.
help because I have big plans and big dreams and to be the visionary and the implementer
Yeah.
is
It's a lot of hats.
not a lot of hours in the day to do
Yes.
that well, and I don't want to do it by myself. But I
Right.
was finding that you know these requests for support, this making my requests known to the universe.
Yes.
I desire this. And then I would be at the store at Tractor Supply buying 50-pound
Sure.
bags of chicken feed. And they would offer to put it in my car. And I would say, oh, no, no, I got it.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're going to come home with me and then take it out of the car and put it into the chicken coop, like this
Right.
part, not really helpful. So thank you. And
Sure.
then I realized, oh, you're asking for this
Yes.
thing. And then every time it's offered, you keep saying no. So
Yes.
even though that's not a farmhand to help me with the gardens starting
Sure.
in May through
Right.
November, hint, hint, listeners, if
Yes.
anyone's out there looking for a job this summer, I've got a good gig for you.
Yeah.
Um, it is still has me practicing that
Yes.
very underused muscle of receiving what
Yep.
I am asking for, which,
Yes.
I don't know if you are familiar with Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks teachings. Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But they wrote a book called
Yeah.
Ask and It Is Given, and
Oh, lovely.
the law of attraction, and just how once you ask, the universe immediately provides it. But step
Sure.
3 is the allowing of it, just
Yes.
getting out of your own way, getting out of resistance to the
Yes.
thing that has been provided for you. So
Yes.
it's
And can I just, yeah, and
please
can I layer on one other part of help and
layer
asking for
on
help?
100 parts, please.
So the other thing that I think that I love that you added on, that it is a give and take. Asking for help, one, doesn't mean that you're going to get it in that moment, but you're at least you're giving that. But to me, what it is you are giving the two things. you are giving someone else the opportunity to support.
Totally.
Not only just you, but like there are people out there that are saying, oh, I just wish I could help somebody. Like I feel it's part of humanity to want to help other people and to
Right.
support and feel part of a community. So you're giving them the opportunity. And then you're also, for anyone who sees it, and maybe it's just that one person, you're giving the next person permission to like own that you can't do it all. Like you
Totally.
just can't. And that is, for the U-turn, ask for help. That's the dynamic. You're shifting from like, I got this to I don't got this. And that's okay. There's it's such a gift to give someone else the opportunity to help you.
Yes.
And the person you ask may not be the exact right fit, but you have also instilled in them the belief that I'm worth asking for help. Like there's, my mom, love my mom. She's one of my biggest fans. And she always wants to help, but like she does not appreciate computers and
Right.
technology. So I also co-produce a women's event, and we just had it recently, hosts over like 200 women.
Wow.
And I went to her and there was some we need 200 envelopes stuffed. We need this. And to be able to go to her and knowing what she would, I said, I need help. She goes, as long as it's not technology. And I go, it's not. And I will tell you, my sister texted me. She's like, Mom is very excited to be stuffing envelopes for you. Like I met her where she was.
Mm-hmm.
I got the help I needed.
Yeah,
But so it gives you an opportunity for connection with another human. And
totally.
it might take some time. You may not find the exact help you need in the first try, but as you get better at it, you start knowing, oh, okay, that person wants to give and they have something to offer. And I'm going to remember that. And then when you have that need, it's just a way to love on each other, right?
Absolutely.
So help can be, it's such a beautiful gift rather than an inconvenience or something that you're pulling away from somebody. So, yeah.
Right. It's reminding me of a time that I was living with a very good friend when Keith and I were in between houses and
Mhm.
ended up living in the guest room of the house across the street from the
Sure.
one we sold, which was
Yeah.
very interesting. That's a whole nother story. But as I was a wedding planner, and I'd be moving stuff in and out of the car, and she would
Right.
ask me if she could help, and I no, I got it. And then after that happened several times, we had a commitment in living together as grown women that we would
Sure.
always use our words and that
Yes.
we would assume the best, but if something didn't feel good, we were going to use
Right.
our words. And so we had a conversation about this, and I said, what I hear in the question, and then she told me what she heard in the
Sure.
answer. So what I heard in the question, can I help you, was,
Yes.
I don't think that you're capable of
Sure.
doing what I'm watching you do. And so
Hmm.
my answer was, no, I got it.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I am
Right.
capable. And what she heard in the answer was, you are not capable of providing a
Yeah.
service to me, and I don't trust you with how you're
Yeah. To
going to
step
do,
in.
how
Right.
you're going to put a box in the car, like, which of course, that's
Right.
not what I'm saying, but it's just fascinating how my
Hmm.
relationship with support has nothing to do with team members
Yes.
or lawnmower guys or anything.
Yes.
It is all just mirroring or projections of what
Yes.
needs to be healed in me.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
these interactions with people, whether it's on an airplane or
Yes.
someone helping me out on the property, it's just an opportunity to bump up
Yeah.
against my edges and see,
Yes.
what is the lesson here for me?
Hmm. Yeah. And to play with, I always believe like if it's that was obviously a relationship you were vested in and you
Yes.
wanted to put the care into, but what if we brought that level of care to anyone we dealt with, right? Like what if
Mhm.
we always assumed the best in others?
Yes.
And what if we in the moment could be like, what is the story I'm telling myself?
Mhm.
And is there another possible version of this story that we could rewrite, right?
That's kinder to
It's
everybody involved.
yes, absolutely. Because not every person is well-intentioned, and some people are so unconscious to what they're doing, they don't even know. So I'm just saying, when that person has earned the right for you to put that effort in, or that you want to do that, it's an opportunity to reshape the relationship and how you can help each other out. So I think that, to me, that's like super exciting. But I'm obviously, my poor husband, he's like, yeah, we are definitely I am into dissecting our interactions, because I think they can be better. And so
Absolutely.
to me, it's worth the effort. But yeah,
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so that's planting. And did you
sure.
mention all 5 of the U-turns?
I did not.
Okay,
So
please.
the 5 U-turns in at a high level glance is trust that you matter, listen to your voice, which is again trusting your
Mm.
gut, which takes time. Then after those 2, and they're not in order, they're just always available to you. 3 then is to share your stuff. I don't know if you cuss on your podcast. I don't, I can hold
I
it
had
back.
a no, you may. Go
Okay.
ahead. I
Well,
had a conversation with my mother about
okay.
this
It just
just
means you have to
yesterday.
mark it explicit so you don't get pulled.
That's right.
So
I
it's
don't
share your
know.
shit or
Glennon Doyle does not have an E on her
oh,
podcast.
well, maybe they're big enough they don't have to,
I
but yeah,
guess
they
not,
definitely,
but
it's on
okay.
there. So share your shit or share your stuff if you want the PG version, meaning share with people who have earned the right to hear it, share
Mm,
your reality so that you can process it and realize you're not alone, and give that person the opportunity to just give you that space. Then ask for help, of course. And then the last is just explore more, meaning explore your
mm,
options, meaning you don't know of even any, if none of those feel right, what else can we explore to keeping that curiosity alive and keep helping that might you might make a U-turn and go, we don't know. Okay, let's explore more. Let's try something new, because, and you said it, and I have a post-it note over there, like, you can't know unless you try.
yep.
So it could be that there just needs to be more exploration until you find what fits. So those are the U-turns.
I love that. Okay, so after planting is now
Yes.
growing.
Grow. Yep. And so the whole point of this book is, the goal is that you do walk away, because it's sowing seeds of change to reap an inspired life. I wanted a life 8, 10 years ago. I did not wake up every morning pumped to be living the life I was living.
Mm,
And I knew that I could change. So again, I planted a lot of new seeds, right? I planted a different seeker mindset. I planted the U-turns in myself. And I also then refused to ignore that there would be obstacles to my growth. There would be. So we talk about those in the first section. So the second section, though, is okay, if I'm going to change, if I'm going to seek change for the better in my life, because that's what I want, right? I want to create an inspired life that I have a vision for. I know what that looks like, but that means I'm going to have to make changes.
mm,
That change is often very fraught with fear. It's scary. It can feel, and not only always fear of failure, but sometimes fear of success. What does it even look like if I do grow this whatever, or if I climb the corporate ladder? What does that do to my life, to my whatever balance you're trying to seek, right? So I was like, well, wait, I see something repeating. And so I call that the growth cycle. And
mm,
it really is growing through any sort of change for the better. And so it's 4 phases, and it starts with shifting soil. And that shifting soil just means there's some rub in your soul, like something in you is saying, we want to make a change for the better. Something doesn't feel right, or we just want something different or more. And that shifting soil phase of the cycle is really all about embracing the fact that you just have to stay curious, and you don't have to make an immediate decision, that you just have to, again, trust that you're your own best guide. But the shifting soil can be uncomfortable, right? Like, imagine my husband's about to put all these baby seeds in the ground, and that seed has so much work to do. And it can't be, I mean, we don't know if they feel, but it's not comfortable to us when we want to change for the better. There's something, it's like there could be irritation, there could be frustration, there could be just the physical sensations of that, of wanting change. There could be some anxiety, whatever that is. And so it's feeling the rub and trusting, though, that your curiosity is going to help you get to the next phase, which the next step, the next phase is breaking through. And breaking through is about what I call hope fueled action. We can't have certainty. We got to let certainty go, but we are going to actually take action toward that change for the better. And breaking through again can be really uncomfortable because it oftentimes does include other people. It might include conversations. It includes new behaviors. And anytime we do something new, the people we're around are like, wait, where's Wendy? I'm used to
Right.
that Wendy. Who's this
Right.
Wendy?
Social contracts. We have social
You're like,
contracts.
excuse me, you've never done that before. What is
Mhm.
happening? And so the breakthrough can be uncomfortable for you internally, but also for the people you're surrounded by. But it is about just taking the smallest, safest little steps forward. That you go back to that disciplined consistency, but you also, there was a great book called Think Wrong. And
Mm.
it's really a cool book, but my favorite chapter is to just place small bets on yourself. You don't have to
Mm.
go all in. Let's just safely move forward.
Yeah.
And so safe to me could look different than safe for you, but it's a belief that these small steps will turn into leaps of faith. And so once you do that, once you start making action, the third phase of the growth cycle is called pacing pursuit, meaning
Mm.
you have to pace yourself. Personal growth, creating a life that you are inspired by, that you are proud of to be living, that you're just are so excited to be part of, takes time. And we don't need to be in a sprint. We need to embrace this is a marathon, even though I also am a very like we don't know when our time will end, but we do have to embrace this belief that we can pace ourselves toward the growth that we want. Again, this took me 8 years, right?
Well,
From where we
right.
started. Like I didn't wake up one day and it's like the iceberg metaphor where you see just the tip of it. There's so much going on below.
But the
That
beauty of that all that time, yeah, you didn't wake
Yeah,
up and write this book 8 years ago or in
right.
one moment, but
Yeah.
you did have this lived experience
Yeah.
and took the inspired action to write it down. So
Yeah.
someone listening that is in the
Yes.
depths of despair is just 389
Right.
pages away, not
Yes.
8 years away from
Exactly.
gleaning what your process and what your
Right.
generosity
Yeah.
in writing that down for us so that we can collapse that timeline. It won't
Right.
take us 8 years of
Right.
vicariously living through you um, because you've given us a handbook.
Well, and see, so you helped me remember. So there is my husband is when you're on the farm, you're not just planting the seeds. You're an implement driver, like you're a tractor driver, you're a mechanic, you're the account, like you're all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
But something always breaks. Like we always say we want shirts like
Yes.
something's always breaking on the farm. And well, you know this, Wendy.
Yes, I
He's
do.
always one day I remember talking to him, he was very frustrated, something was broken. He was like, but he was more frustrated because he didn't have the tools he needed to do the repair. And he said, if I have the right tools,
Mm-hmm.
I can do this. And so every chapter in Soul Farmer ends with a tool for practice, a self reflection exercise, something that you can actually then take what I've shared and put it into practice, like actually play with it. And it's a tool that you can use in the moment. Obviously, then I hope that it lasts the reader for a long time, but it's a tool because as you're pacing pursuit, the fun part to me then is the fourth and final phase of the growth cycle is rooting trust.
Mm.
And it is ultimately, and I just get full body chills, it's ultimately about rooting trust in yourself. Can you just imagine like that? Just when you see a picture of those just roots underneath, they're strong, they're steady, they are tangled as a mess, right? So, meaning the roots don't always look the same, they don't always grow pretty patterns, but they are holding you firmly
Mm-hmm.
in the belief that you can grow, like you can grow toward the things you say you want. And then the more you trust yourself, the braver you feel, the little more bold you get, right? You
Mm-hmm.
lean into the fact that you can grow toward whatever change for the better you want for yourself. And so to me, then it starts all over. Like it doesn't end,
Right.
unfortunately. It just kind of, it's more of like, if you imagine like a whirlwind going up and up and up, you're evolving upward because
Correct.
then you start it over again. Oh shoot, now we've got some shifting soil. Our soul is saying we want something, and you just start it all over again. So
Right. But not from that same
Right. From a
place that you
higher, more
started.
enlightened,
Exactly.
more, you've got more wisdom, more
Or
discernment.
tools.
Yes, you got more tools.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, and then harvest.
Okay, harvest is it's not I should never say
They're
that any
all
of
your
these is my
favorite.
favorite
You should write a book.
because, yeah, because that is truly the thing about harvest is it is the part of the farming season in my husband's life that gets the most attention.
Hmm.
And if it's a great year, if markets are great and the production is great, the most accolades, right? It's
Right.
where champagne bottles are popping on top of the cotton stripper, or, years don't go so well. And my daughter makes just a really pretty picture that's on she draws a picture that's on the door in the garage. Like, but the thing about harvest is that what I focus on there is to begin and end with celebration. The
Mm.
cycle of growth, the process of creating the life that you want to lead, it is not about the culminating moments. It is about the process. It is about celebrating yourself from the moment that you identify that you have a shifting soil moment, all the way to the moment that you're like, oh my gosh, I trust myself that much more. It is celebrating every part of it, the wins, the losses, the rainy years, the droughts. It's celebrating all of it, and then truly letting time take time,
Mm.
because time is a funny thing. It can feel like it's dragging, and then you look up and you're like, where did 5 years go?
Right.
But and I am honored to say too that I one of my dreams with this of getting Soul Farmer out in the world was I was driving one day, I was jamming out to some music, and I was like, I need a song that goes with Soul Farmer.
Ooh.
And I was like, I happen to know a singer songwriter, and which is just fantastic. I have that in my little toolkit. But I took her out for Thai food and I threw it out there. And sure enough, we have written, recorded, and released a song called Let Time Take Time. You can
Mm.
find it out on, for sure, Spotify. I've been looking on the other platforms, but for sure, Spotify, there's a regular version and an acoustic, but
Oh,
it's
we'll
called Let
link it.
Time Take Time. Yeah. And Lindsay made my dream come true. And that's the whole, that that concept of not letting time, we get so worried about time. We don't have enough time. There's not enough time. And that is true. We all have there will be a time when our time on this earth will end, and we none of us know when that time will be, but we also can keep showing up in the moments we're given, right? And I have to share today, the day we're recording, not probably not the day we'll air, but the day we're recording is my cousin Joanne's birthday. She
Oh.
passed 16 years ago, way too young from cancer.
Mm.
But I dedicated my first book, Road to Hope, which was a memoir, to her, because her passing was a pivotal moment in my own life of I will
Sure.
honor every moment of her life in the living of mine while I still have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I I have to embrace that reality that, I mean, this is a freaking gift and I don't know when it's going to end.
Right.
And so letting time take time, though, is letting some of the angst and fear that we have that time is passing, but also that it's a gift. And that's, I have a tattoo, Wendy, that it's an and sign.
Mm.
Everything is an and. Like,
Yep.
time is fleeting, and right now it's like the time, like I need it to slow down. It's just, it's such a bizarre, our whole lives are a bizarre concept of and, right? It's
Correct.
so, harvest to me is really truly learning to celebrate your life, celebrate the process of growth, and to just that whole thing about it being inspired. Like, I wanted a life that I was where I felt alive, where I felt enthusiastic, right? And one of the lines is
Right.
that you'll just wait, like, if you keep doing this, you're gonna have that moment where you feel life flowing through your veins, right?
Hmm.
There's times when we don't, there are dark times that we've all lived through, but it comes back, right? Like,
Yes.
even in those moments, there's blood pumping, right? And yeah, so it's harvest is, to me, I have a very, very strong connection to the life that I lead, the impact that I want to have whatever legacy I might leave behind, but also, man, wanting every other person to feel the same way about their life. Right. And that
Right.
I feel is my work, for them to be proud of their life, to just be inspired by themselves. And then it's going to ripple out. You just know it is.
Right.
So that's that final section. And then, just like the book, right? The book doesn't end. Just like my husband's farming is not going to end after harvest. Guess what?
Fallow season.
Yeah, what's actually
Rest.
in one of the chapters is embrace the fallow. Like,
Yeah.
have faith in the fallow, that there is a time for all of that to rest, that there is a
Mhm.
time to let it regenerate, to rejuvenate and find what it needs, because then guess what?
It all
Planting
starts
season comes
again.
back.
Yep.
So the book doesn't end. It just hopefully reminds you that there's this really fantastic cycle that we can, I think that's in the chapter on the back cover somewhere, of like embracing like nature's rhythm, right? Like
Mm,
embracing that rhythm of life, that we don't have to feel it's linear. There's not a starting and a stopping point. There's just this beautiful cycle that we can embrace. And I think that sometimes gives people a sense of freedom and a
right.
sense of calm.
And it's a really important step in the process, and really important for us to remember, because often, I don't want to overgeneralize, but for me, in just my day-to-day work, but my desire to have impact, and
Yes.
the list of chores and the list of ideas that's
Right.
about, I don't know, 30 times
Yes.
longer than my list of chores,
Yes.
um, that a person can feel like they are in this constant harvest where I have got to
Yes.
be producing, I've got to be, and it's just like the tomatoes only taste the way they taste in September. In
Yes.
September, you
Right.
cannot make
Nope. Can't
that
rush it.
happen in January.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for our life and for our work and for the expectations we have on us. So
Yes.
pacing the progress, like you said, it's not going 100 miles an hour every day. It's
Yeah.
also not sitting on the couch and saying, well, if it's supposed to happen, it'll
It's
find
just going to
me,
happen. Right.
right? Like there's this balance of inspired action and
Mhm.
inspired rest. And
100%.
you only know when to do that when you have taken the time to trust yourself
Hmm.
and know what that feels like in your
Yeah.
body, to know,
Yes.
this conversation doesn't feel good to me.
Right.
This room doesn't feel
Hmm.
good to me. This action right now doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah.
Where does it not feel good? Why
Right.
does it not feel good? Is it an energy leak, or am I in resistance or avoidance because I just don't
Yes.
feel like doing that? Like
Yeah.
what is the lesson in this feeling?
Yeah.
And it sounds like that could be an exhausting way to spend your day. But
Yeah.
once you start to do that and it becomes practiced, it doesn't take all
Hmm.
day to do that.
It
And
doesn't.
you find yourself only in conversations like this, or only
Yes.
doing what delights you, or
Right.
only being in rooms that you want to be in. And when you need to be somewhere that you don't want to be, you are showing up in a way that makes you proud. You
Yeah.
are contributing in a way that feels good to you, even if the overall situation is not something that you would choose
Yeah.
for yourself.
Absolutely. And I'm laughing because I can look up and I have a picture of a sloth, because I am all about like slow growth. And like for me, I have found that pacing, I can feel pretty good about my pacing, and I slowed down for a lot of years after I left corporate.
Sure.
But I would also say though, even in these last 2 years, and I have a podcast of my own, and my podcast co-host, Wendy, I told her, I was like, her name's Wendy as well.
Oh,
I was like,
fun.
Wendy, yeah. I was like, Wendy, like I feel the momentum, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna honor it, and I'm gonna ramp up a little bit. And that's true, is you do start playing with your pacing, and but that goes back to the U-turn. Can you trust? and
Right.
listen to your own voice saying,
Yep.
hey, let's ramp it up. This is go time. It feels good.
Right.
And then the voice that'll say, well, like last night, there was a fantastic women's event I had said I would go to, and I was tapped out.
Yeah.
And I messaged the woman and I said, I am so sorry. I want to be there. I just can't. I don't have it in me. And she replied back with the most gracious, and that's why I surround
Mm,
myself with women like this. She's like, thank you for like honoring yourself in that. And just
right.
that's who I'm surrounded by. Like it just, there's going to be times where you can't show up because you do. There's another woman I follow who said that, and even as you do push out of your own comfort zone, oftentimes as you do quote unquote bigger things for yourself, or things that are more bold, or you're going toward things, it often requires more rest. And
Correct.
it does. And if you can embrace that, and my husband sometimes thinks he's like, he doesn't quite get as much rest as I do. Like
Mm-hmm.
his natural pacing is faster than mine. But yesterday, I have not told him because he'd think I was crazy. I laid a blanket on the ground. I laid on the grass and just let the sun hit me for 15 minutes. And
Oh,
I
it's
just
beautiful.
knew I needed it.
Mhm.
And then I was like, okay, got back up, got back on my calls a few minutes later. And it's the and, right?
Right.
It's the go and it's the not go. It's the rest and it's the run. It's walking even right, but it's showing up and taking little steps every day.
Right.
What can you do every day? That's that disciplined consistency all the way back to the beginning. So it all builds on itself. And to me, it's the most exciting thing when we start to do that and surround ourselves with other people who get it, which is the fun part. So
Absolutely. Well, going back to the beginning of our conversation where you were
yeah,
feeling like promoting the book feels a little bit edgy for you because you don't want to sound self-absorbed, and you don't promotion is, it's not easy to say, it's not
sure.
easy to do either. But what I would love just to mirror back to you is your passion for this message and the beautiful ways that you articulate it are just an invitation for the reader to up level.
Right.
And you are not getting on podcasts or going on shows or going to events, holding
Yeah.
your book saying, look at me, I wrote a
Right.
book. You are saying, come with me.
Yeah.
Come with me. I
Yeah.
have laid out a path that you might find helpful on your
Yeah.
journey. And that's the impact that you are having. It's the impact you have
Right.
on me just talking about the book. I can't
Yeah.
wait to read it.
Yes.
And we will definitely link that in the show notes so that everyone can get their hands on their own copy. But
Yeah.
this message is beautiful. It
Thank you.
is easy to digest,
Yes.
and it shows, I mean, I am a farmer,
Yeah.
but I everybody eats food, so we
Yes.
have some ideas of these concepts, and to be able to bring them in to personify them,
Mhm.
then to be reminded of those principles everywhere we go
Anywhere
and
they go.
seeing
Mhm.
anything that's growing or
Yes.
has been harvested or anything
Yes.
at rest. It's just beautiful and
Yeah.
holistic, and I'm so grateful to know about the book, to know about
Yeah.
you, to support your mission and this amazing impact.
Yes.
And
Thank
it's
you.
big work, and you are the
Yeah.
woman for the job.
Thank you. Well, I am going to graciously receive that with a
Good job.
yes. That feels fantastic because I will say, and to honor you as the again, I'm a soul farmer, but you're a plant and flower farmer, like real farmers. I had a woman text me though who read the book and she said, okay, she she's like, I just lost. She's an event planner. She's like, I just lost a big event to a hotel in
Mm,
Vegas, but honestly, the first thought that came into my mind was, what would a farmer do? And
mm.
she said, I said, a farmer would try. Like, and I was like, there you go. And
Yep.
it's so to just know that it is something that they can't necessarily escape. Like they're going to see it and they get it. And it's a way to honor such a noble passion that people, that my husband has had since he was a baby. He was 8. He knew what he wanted to do.
Wow.
And so I graciously receive that and love and do want Soul Farmer to be an invitation for anyone. And just, yeah, just take the step, grab the book. If you're in that place where you might feel stuck, or you might feel, like I want to make a change for the better, or you just might be really ambitious and not know that how do I take that next step in my own ambition? And that to me is that's the exciting part of this book, is it's going to meet people where they are. And yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm excited to see what people do with it. Like, I just can't wait.
Right.
So
Oh, I
it's been
love
fun.
that so much. And even if no one finds themselves in any of those buckets, they know somebody who
Yes.
is going through a transition, or
Mhm.
they know someone who's graduating from college, or someone who just needs
Yes.
to have this metaphor
Yeah.
for living your best life in their
Yes.
pocket, so that
Yeah.
they can avoid some of the pitfalls that we have found
Yeah.
ourselves in, but have the growth
Yeah.
regardless.
That they want. Yeah. Well, again, I can't thank you enough, and I can't wait to see where we go. We'll just keep growing. That's what we
I
say.
love
Just
it.
keep growing.
I
So,
love that. We'll tell everyone where they can find and follow you. We'll link everything in the
yes.
show notes, but just in case
Perfect.
someone just wants that in their ear.
Yeah, the easiest way to go, just to be able to do one, is just go to the website, denajansen.com. So just DenaJansen. That was fast. DenaJansen.com. Find me there, because then you can find my Instagram. Instagram is my favorite home. It probably shows my age probably at this point. But I love it there. And that's just at Dena_Jansen. You can find me there. So, and then weekly, if you want to listen to me and my partner, my other Wendy,
Yes.
the You Just Don't Know It Yet is the name of the podcast. So You Just Don't Know It Yet. We drop every Wednesday, and we are just two women. And our goal is to just have real talk, real growth, real fun. And that's it. So we bring a lot of our local women on, because we think small town women are a big deal. And we're just
I love
really,
that.
yeah, yeah, because it gives them their own moment of bravery. Like, they were like, why would I
Mhm.
be on? I'm like, because you're fantastic.
Right.
So that to us is really exciting. So head to the website. And then honestly, the book you can find at any of your retailers. Of course, Amazon's easy, but if you're, barnesandnoble.com, you can go find it wherever is feel good. And if you're not a reader, like you don't want to hold the book in your hands, it's on Audible and on Apple Books. And I'm the narrator, so I can just read straight to you
Amazing.
if you want me to read to you. I did that for my husband's benefit. My first book was a memoir, and we had some rocky times that I share about. And he was like, I can't read it because I'm just scanning for my name. So with listening, he couldn't know what was on the way. And I was like, look, just make it through chapter 3. You know how it ends.
Oh,
So
that's
you
so
can also
fun.
find Soul Farmer on, if you would rather listen, or of course, Kindle versions. You can find all the ways, but
Oh,
I'd say
it's
that's how to find me.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Dena. This was really, really
yes,
fun, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
same. Thank you so much, Wendy.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site, or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.